If you haven't played Mass Effect Andromeda and are trying to go spoiler free, just a heads up, this will have some minor spoilers in it, as you'll be seeing some multiplayer interfaces and a little bit of gameplay for multiplayer. I'm the developer of the Mass Effect 3 UI mods, including single player and multiplayer controller support. I maintain single player and I made the multiplayer as well as the interface scaling mod. And I feel there has been a significant regression, let's put it that way, in Mass Effect Andromeda's interface compared to Mass Effect 3. I applaud them for pulling out full controller support, but I feel there are a lot of things, and in some audio instances too, where the user is not given the proper feedback to tell them that something's going on. And I'd like to compare Mass Effect 3 and Andromeda to show you what I mean. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at Mass Effect 3's main interface in the lobby, which is where I'm going to be focusing most of my attention. So right here we have a lobby of 3 players. I'm not the host. I'm using my controller mod for PC, but this is what it'd be looking like exactly like on Xbox. So on the left here, on the left pane, we have the main buttons. We have ready and mission settings. As you can see, there's nothing really exciting in mission settings. It's off host. It just tells me location and enemy and the difficulty. It's all locked. I can't change anything. So let's look at the same screen in Andromeda. This is before I've entered a lobby, but you can see I can set privacy to public or private. It always seems to default to public, even if the last game I set was private. I can change the map, the difficulty, the enemy. That's all like the normal. I can do missions, which are custom settings that are already configured. But I noticed at the bottom there's a create and join game, but I'm in custom match. You would think that would be me creating a custom game, right? That's exactly what happens in Mass Effect 3. And you join games through quick match. But this one has quick match and search for certain maps, maybe? I guess let's just try it. Oh my god. Alright, so probably one of the biggest problems I have with Andromeda right now is that the mics are open by default. And even if you set it to disabled in the settings, it doesn't actually turn off. You have to actually turn it to push to talk. So essentially, instead of having microphones facilitate communications, I'm just going to mute everyone and there's going to be no communication because I'm not going to waste my time figuring out in the middle of the game if your microphone's open or not. And if you're an annoying person that has a dishwasher or a dog or a baby or you're cooking something in the microwave, I don't want to hear any of that. So I'm just going to mute you. I'm not going to waste my time. Make push to talk default again. Just teach people how to use it. So on the right here, we have our default up-down list that you have in most games. You can just go up, ready to start, mission settings, character, customization, and selection. There's a little exclamation point saying there might be something in here. Prestige, which is like challenges. You have the store, and then you have mission settings. And the mission settings don't actually show on any screen but this one. In Mass Effect 3, they would show along the top, but in this one, they only show right here. So if something changes, you aren't going to be aware of it. So panning around to the other parts of the interface, to our left of that we have our main slots that will fill up as people join the lobby. Below that we have the getting ready, which is red when it's not ready, and when you change it, it turns green. And when everybody's ready, you start hitting a little deek deek as everybody is ready to go and the mission starts counting down. So at the top over here we also have our Apex rating, which is like our N7 rating. We have Andromeda points, which are like BioWare points these days. We have MP credits and mission funds, which is how you also use to buy stuff. Down at the bottom, we have the A-B start button below the ready button that tells me what buttons I can push on this part of the interface to create things. As we pan around, we can see those buttons change a little bit. Right here it says invite, but if we pan over to my character, it'll say inspect squad. So at the top we have static info. At the bottom we have what buttons you can push right now. And right above that is the mission ready status. So that's what this interface is telling me right now. As you can see, the buttons change based on what platform you're on. So if you move the mouse, it'll switch back to PC. And if I switch back to controller inputs, it'll switch immediately to that, which is kind of nice. I will applaud them for doing that. Pretty good job on that. So we're going to go into character selection. And it may sound like I'm beating on a dead horse on this interface, but there's a lot of problems I think that are with it compared to the old version. So to illustrate this, I'm going to blank out the right side of the screen, so you can only focus on the left. Looking at these icons on the left, what do any of them mean? Without the supporting text on the right, these don't really represent anything. They're just faces. I see there's a Krogan and the rest are humans, but there's no categorization to them. They're just individual icons. There's no names. There's there's not really anything that shows up to differentiate these from each other. I mean, I can still tell them apart, but that I can't tell what their categories are. The icons just they're meaningless. They look like sim characters, but I'm not playing the Sims. I'm playing a kit with powers and stuff. So I need something more visual. So I'm going to switch over to the other side of the screen, and we can see as we were panning around, we can see that their stats are appearing. The text has a background that is black, so it's pretty easy to read all of it, except for the bonus stat, which is kind of weird. I feel like this is more like a 3D environment issue than an actual UI, but the text behind bonus stat is a little bit difficult to read. At the same time, I mean, it's not, you don't have to know everything about the kit in one interface, so I think this right side of the screen is done pretty decently. I kind of wish there wasn't this little animation effect, so I didn't have to wait for it to load every time I went through the kit. If I'm scrolling through 30 kits, this is adding like another 10 seconds to me. So, I mean, it's just kind of unnecessary fluff. So if we open it all up, we can see how it all works together. As I pick kits, the list shows up. You can see some of them have progressed. There's also these Roman numerals after it, which tell you that you have ranked up the kit, but there seems to, I don't understand fully what the difference between ranks and levels are. I haven't seen the game explain this to me yet. So if we see down below, there's some blanked out kits. I assume as DLCs are added, this list is going to get longer. But the biggest issue I have is that none of these are characterized. The first two guys on the top left here are one class, the top two right are another, and it goes in groups of 2 all the way down through the first 3 rows. So you have 6 classes. But then after that, they don't go in that same order again. They start just being like random kits. And it's because the list is sorted by rarity. The top is the like ones that you already have unlocked by default. And as you scroll down, there's more that you haven't unlocked. But what is the point? Like, seriously, why would you sort ever on rarity? How would that be useful to you? You want to sort it based on how useful it is to you. Like, in Mass Effect 3, you sorted by how long it was until the last guy came out. So you had the first guys, which came out in the base game, and then you had MP1, MP2, you had Earth, Retaliation, Reckoning, stuff like that. But in this, what am I going to do? Pick the best guy once I unlock him and never go back to the old ones? I feel like you're trying to tell me that these guys up here really suck and the guys down there are good. I really don't think that's what you were aiming for. If it does, that kind of concerns me that there's going to be some serious balance. But it just doesn't make sense why you would sort it by rarity and not by class or like by ability types. Why don't you make it so I can have, if you're not going to sort it, make it so I can have a list of favorite kids, guys that are about to level up. Let me sort it by ranking, stuff like that. This lack of having any sort is kind of pointless. I shouldn't have, if I want to play Biotic, I shouldn't have to scroll through the entire list of everybody, which is going to get longer as DLC is released, and have absolutely no sorting options for when I want to play something. So let's compare that to Mass Effect 3's version of this. I'm going to blank out the right side of the screen on this one too, so the comparisons are the same. On the left, we immediately notice that there is a list of categories for kids to pick. These are classes, technically. We have Adepts, which are good at biotics, for example. We have Vanguards, who have biotic up-close and personal powers. We have Engineers, who put down tech. If I want to combo with somebody, being able to pick one of these quickly is very useful. Hey, my friend's playing a kit that has Overload. Maybe I'll pick a power that can be detonated by Overload, like Incinerate. So maybe I'll pick somebody in the Engineer class. So I can just go to the Engineer class and be like, hey, look at all these Engineers. But in Andromeda, I have to hunt and peck to do all this. And it's just extra work that shouldn't be necessary. So in the kit list here, we can see that there's a red highlight behind the cursor that is immediately eye-catching, and it only shows the power of those kits that are currently highlighted, so your eyes are immediately focused on that. So I'm not having to search around on the interface to see what's going on. They hide some of the extra information behind the Y button, which is it's a good and a bad thing. This information is nice to know and it enriches the multiplayer experience, but after you see this the first time, it's kind of pointless, so it's kind of a wash in my opinion. So I'd like to draw your attention now to the buttons at the bottom of the screen here, the Y, X, A, B. These are the face buttons on the controller, typically on the right-handed side. Now look at the same buttons that show up on an Andromeda screenshot here. These are the same resolution, but Andromedas are way smaller, have less color, and the text is unbelievably hard to read. And this is on a PC monitor where I'm sitting like 2 feet away from the screen. If I have a computer that hooks up to a TV, this isn't even going to be readable unless it's at like 720p. And I mean, that defeats the whole point. In Mass Effect 3, you could have a 4K TV, plug the computer into it, and this interface, not all of the interfaces in the vanilla game, but this interface will scale up and it will still work. On a 4K TV, I feel like it will scale up some, but it's still going to be hard to read just because they're freaking tiny. So you're going to have to lower the resolution just to be able to view any of this stuff. And the buttons have like the color on the sides. Is that kind of like telling me that I don't know where the buttons on the face are? I mean, most people are going to know their controller. I mean, I know where all the buttons are, but is it maybe for people who are like demoing the game at like a kiosk who don't know where the buttons are on a controller because they're new and they're just testing out the game? Who's this for? Who does this help? I don't understand how that helps anybody with those button interface colors. So now we're back at the Andromeda character selection screen here, and you can see there's a little green check mark next to the guy that I'm currently selected. I'll give a little nitpick here. I wish it would like change the circle color so it was a little more obvious, because it's kind of small, but it's not that big of a deal to me really. So we'll pick a kit here. We'll pick this guy right here. We get a noise confirmation. We'll go in there and customize him. I'm just not used to being able to switch directly to customize from this, and it's just old habits dying hard. The great visual indicator right there that there's extra points to spend, glowing, blinking, gets my attention immediately. Good job. I like that. So I have 1 point to spend, and then when I spend it, that indicator is gone, so I know immediately that I don't have any more points to spend. But one thing I'm noticing right here is, look, as I move through these powers, the box, there's 2 columns, and then there's 1 column, and the text is just moving around. So I'm just scrolling through the power. I can't even read the text. And so it's plus 30% melee damage. What if I'm going for maximum melee damage? I have to read every single description to see that the melee damage is increasing. But let's take a look at Mass Effect 3. So in Mass Effect 3, we have our text on the bottom left always. We have some bar charts that update in real time on the bottom right. Lets me easily see what I'm building towards, so barriers restored maximum, or maybe I have a best maximum recharge speed. I can see what 20% looks like, versus if I'm going to upgrade something later that's 50%, I can see what the difference is and see maybe, hey, maybe I want to take rank 6A instead of 4A, because 60 and 20 isn't as good of a trade-off as 60 and some other upgrade. Now, I will say that Andromeda does a much better job on the power resets, because in Mass Effect 3 you have to go into a skill tree to reset the powers, so you like undo your changes. But in Andromeda, that's done when you're exiting the power screen, so you don't accidentally back out all the way and then have to use the reset card. And Andromeda does a much better job telling you how many points you have to work with. So we're here on the loadout screen. I got here by going to character customization. I can see here I have 2 guns, the Avenger and the Katana, and an empty equipment slot. I don't know what kind of guns these are because they're not labeled as to what class they are. And there's little circles below them, but I don't really know what they do. And then as well, I can see there's a highlight, but it's like half transparent blue, which is the color of the screen, to full transparency and a slight pulse. It's kind of hard to see what's highlighted. If there's a glare, I'm never going to see this. But as I can see mousing over here, actually I can go into this and select them to change them, or I can press X to edit the mods. But since these buttons on the bottom are so damn small and hard to see, it's going to be very easy to miss the fact that mods are even a thing. Because instinctively I'll press A to select something, but I won't think of hitting X because X isn't a normal select button on a controller screen. So, looking at Mass Effect 3, we can see pressing A in the weapon select screen will automatically put us into that slot, and highlighting anything that already has a gun puts a big blue X right next to weapon mods. So I know immediately pressing X is going to do something with weapon mods. There's text that says weapon mods, and there's a button that tells me, hey, pressing X will do something with weapon mods. Andromeda doesn't do any of that for weapon mods whatsoever. So I can see from this screen that I have a negative 32% recharge speed, but I can't really tell since it's red if that's bad or good. There's a little like bar on the left, but I don't know if that's the center of the bar or what. But I think I'm done customizing. Oh wait, no I'm not. There's actually more tabs on the screen at the top. But these are probably some of the worst looking tabs that I have ever seen. I had very difficult time even finding these when I started playing. they're flanked by two buttons that aren't even like obvious that they're buttons. They're dark, they blend in with the background, and they're just, it's all around just hard to see. And I'm noticing a theme that a lot of the UI elements are just plain damn hard to see. So we're in here, we have boosters, which I assume if we played other games, they're gonna boost something in a match. So on the left, I have my boosters. I can go in there, I can pick one. So I'll pick cryo ammo for my booster one. Maybe this applies to the same gun in the second slot. Maybe I have one gun, because I mean there's two slots for guns, there's two slots for boosters. Oh, okay, it just replaced the first one for some reason, but it didn't really tell me why, and it didn't stop me from doing it. I guess that's okay. I guess I'll pick a weapon amp instead then, but I don't even know what guns I have equipped, so I guess I'll put a sniper rifle amp. And I'll pick, oh shit, no, I had a pistol. Oh fuck, now it's all screwed up. Oh god. I don't even know what gun I have or what character I am, so I don't know what kind of stuff is going to be useful to me. And Mass Effect 3 had this exact same problem, but I really feel like if I'm picking a weapon amp, I should be able to see what weapons I have. So, I guess I can't pick the same things out of category. I'm kind of having to guess what the rules are here, rather than having the game kind of pick the rules for me. So let's look at how Mass Effect 3 does this. Mass Effect 3 is a little bit different. They have 3 booster slots that have specific categories of items you can put into them, and then a permanent gear bonus that was added in DLC. It's not communicated well that this is a permanent bonus versus the other ones being consumable, but they're pretty comparable in most other ways. So you can't select something from ammo and it'll unequip something from another slot. But it also doesn't show you what gun you have equipped. Mass Effect Andromeda doesn't do that either. But look at the right side of the screen. Look at what you see there. There's a D-pad in the background, and the powers are laid out in a specific way. Specifically, the same way they appear in the game, with the same icons and the same backgrounds. Essentially, if you just took off the bottom of the text and shrunk that down and put it in the game, like on the HUD on the left side, that's exactly what it's going to look like. And this is great UI design, in my opinion, because it's subconsciously teaching the user that, hey, pushing up on the D-pad is how you get your missile. Down is a metagel. So the game's not going, right there, you need to pull out your missile launcher. I mean, I'm okay with the hints coming out saying that, if you're, like, down and you need to use a metagel, but teaching me subconsciously without just forcing it in my face as a block of text, really, it's like transparent learning. I don't know I'm learning it, but I am, and I feel like it just makes it so much easier that I can learn how to do game mechanics without even being actually in the game. So, I mean, there's nothing else really here to explain. You can go through and pick it. Mass Effect 3 isn't perfect, though. Like, you have a 20% power recharge speed, but the other one's like level 2 power cells. I don't know what that means. So they weren't exactly clear on what some of the consumables did. I haven't gone through Andromeda's consumables list yet to know if it has the same issues. I hope it doesn't. But that's one thing I do have to fault Mass Effect 3 on, is that they weren't consistent in their consumables descriptions. So the last thing I want to touch on is look how hard it is to see the carry and cav or own thing there. It's really dim. It's hard to see. So we're going to go over and change our appearance. This isn't exactly comparable to Mass Effect 3. This is you can choose a much higher variety of colors. If I had one recommendation for this, is you need to move the left and right stick indicators of what to do over towards the color wheel. Having them on the left side of the screen when the wheel is on the right side of the screen, and that's the only thing they literally affect, is kind of unintuitive. But it's not that bad. I mean, if I even move the sticks, I'll start noticing it once I select the tint, so it's not that bad. And we finally get to the store. Everybody's most favorite thing from Mass Effect 3. I always loved waiting for the store to open a pack. But first, I'd like to note that at the top, you see those things? They kind of look like tabs. And they are. And I could just use left and right on the stick to select them. And they have text, and they immediately tell me what I'm looking at. But that makes me wonder, how come this has clear and obvious tabs on a controller, but the last UI that I was looking at didn't when I was like selecting my guns and stuff? And I believe the answer is that you could scroll left and right in the gun interface using the sticks, because you had like gun 1 next to gun 2. But then you also had like LB and RB at the top to switch between the tabs. But in this interface, you can't switch between the tabs with LB and RB. You can only use the sticks. So there's two essentially tab interfaces, but they have two different control schemes for some reason. And I understand that you can't really use the left and right stick on the character customization screen, but I don't know why you wouldn't allow using the LB and RB on both tabbed interfaces. That way it could at least seem consistent. So I'm going to buy a supply pack. I can see I can't afford the basic pack because it's in red text. So I'm going to press A and just purchase this. A is a good confirmation button. So I open a pack of unflipped cards, I guess, maybe? Or a blank pack. I guess loot systems now have it so you flip cards. So I got a Cyclonic Mod 1. It says it's a booster. I don't really know what it does, though. That's kind of weird. It looks like there could be more cards to the left, but there's not. The little arrow means that there might be more cards. But I guess it could just mean you can move left and right. I got some supplies. It would be nice if there's a way to flip all these at once, or just have them all flipped to begin with. Oh, okay, I can just press X. I guess I can just push another button. And then there's a revive pack and a first aid pack. I guess you could those could be considered like the same kind of thing, but that's just semantics at this point. But I really wish I knew what like a first aid pack did versus something else. Or what does a Cyclonic Mod 1 do? I mean I can flip the card, but I've already flipped the card before. There's not 3 sides to a card, is there? I mean the other side was blank, so I guess I could flip it over so it looks like it was unopened, so be like, oh my god, check out what I got. But I guess I'll press A anyways and see what happens. Oh, okay, I guess that ups shields by 10. I don't know why that couldn't be written on the front of the card, especially considering these are like 1 sentence long. Okay, I guess that's just another click or button press for what could have been easily just displayed on the card itself. Okay, I guess. But, so, I mean, Mass Effect 3 does this so much better. I mean, in Mass Effect 3, I mean, look at this. I'll just let you look at this. You can see everything in Mass Effect 3 all at once. I mean, you can see the description, the picture, the rarity, and I don't have to flip any cards to do this. It's just everything's just faster, except for how long it actually takes to buy the pack. Like, so I mean, it's only a couple extra button clicks. So I'll go over to the item store and I'll buy. Well, I don't know what's in here. Let's see. We got ammo, Cobra. I'll buy a revive pack. It says 5 mission points. I can see that on the top right. So I'll just buy one of these. I mean, these are always nice to have. So it says mission funds, so I mean it's pretty clear what I'm spending it from. Like I've noticed I can't for some reason buy multiple of these. It would sure be nice if I could buy just a bundle like 50 of them when I have money. Wait, why is it showing this? I already know what's in this pack. What's the point of making me flip it? I already know what this is, so there's no mystery here. And the browse cards isn't true. There's only 1 card here. What? Just give me the card that's already flipped. God. I'm done. We're going to the next thing. Alright, so now I'm here with Zerged in my lobby. This audio is being recorded. Oh, shoot, what was that? This audio is being recorded in post, so he can't hear anything I'm saying right now, but I can hear him. And it just kicked me out to the main menu.
Wait, really?
Yeah, Zerg. Oh boy, network connection error, my favorite.
Andromeda.
Redo the whole video now.
So I actually didn't have any super long load times this time. And when joining off onto Mgamerz lobby, it was like 1 second. Didn't even have any loading screens.
Yeah, it's a lot faster in Andromeda. It's much better. I do appreciate you merging most of these multiplayer join screens into one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Debating whether or not.
So at the bottom of the screen here, we can see it says waiting on you and 1 other. I don't know if it blinks to indicate that it's waiting on you if you're in a sub menu and someone else is here, because I don't see any indicator that there's other people in the lobby. So if he readies up, it might just say waiting on you, but if I'm solo, it also just says waiting on me. So that's another thing that I think should be changed. If there's other people waiting on you, it should be a little different than if you're the only one in a solo lobby.
Could ask for more people from this co-op server.
Well, since Zerg talks through just about this entire video, I'm not going to bother doing it through live video. So I'm just going to really just kind of focus on the screenshot for the most part, maybe cycle through a few of them. One thing you'll notice is that everything on this UI is already pretty tiny. The text is tiny. The numerals on the D-pad on the left are tiny. Let's compare this to what it would look like on Mass Effect 3 with a controller input at the same scaling level at the same resolution. We can see that the icons right beneath the power bar are a little bit more colorful, so it's more obvious which buttons to push to activate what power. They're still icon-based, so it's not as useful. The kill feed has been moved from the bottom right in Andromeda to the center left, which to me doesn't seem very intuitive. I find myself almost never looking at the kill feed in Andromeda. And the D-pad is... the D-pad numbers are much easier to read. They're in a consistent position, and they have good contrast. They have like a black border around them. They're much easier to read. And then another one is like, look at how the weapons are done. The weapon in Mass Effect 3 has a bar that shows me how much ammo is remaining. And in Andromeda, it gives me a number, but that doesn't tell me much. I'm not really... I can see kind of in my peripheral that the bar's going down. I can't always in Mass Effect 3. But, it's a good indicator, especially with guns that you need to keep an eye on the ammo counts. I don't have to constantly read the number, I can just look at the bar. So one of my bigger complaints of the Mass Effect Andromeda HUD, let's take a look down here at the left. You see, we have Zerg's positional icon here, and it's laying right on top of our HUD. It's kind of hard to see because, it blends right in with the rest of our HUD. You might consider it a piece of the HUD in that image. Let's look at Mass Effect 3. There's a little down arrow here. While maybe it's not as intuitive, it's telling you that there's something in that direction, but it's not in the way of the HUD. And it floats around, and this area down here is a safe zone. The icon won't float down below this area. And that makes a big difference. You might think, oh, well, it doesn't make a big difference. You can just look at the sides of the screen, can't you? But it's like, there's 4 sides of my screen. In Andromeda, there's an objective where there's 3 objective indicators at the same time. And if you count that I can have up to 3 friends in the lobby with me, that means I already have 6 icons just floating around the sides of the screen, interfering with my HUD. And they can overlap each other. If I'm in the way these maps are designed and they're so big, there's a good chance there's a lot of stuff still behind you. So your icons are floating all behind the HUD a lot. And when I was playing this, I found myself lost for so long, simply because I could not find the indicators for my friends and like the objectives. There's a lot of times I wasn't even near the objective because it was. Even speaking on that subject, there isn't objective music. Like, in Mass Effect 3, music would come on when there's an objective, but in Mass Effect Andromeda, there's always music, and it slowly amps up over time. But, like, the objective music doesn't change, so there's not a cue for me, like, oh, there's an objective, I should probably be doing this. I know there's, like, a guy who talks and tells you it, but I guarantee you, if you've played Mass Effect 3, there's been times you're like, oh, shoot, there's an objective, I should really be helping. But the singular thing that drives me most up the wall in Andromeda is right here. It's the noise that comes up right here. I'll let you listen. Did you hear it? That noise drives me crazy, and that noise is absolute silence. When you're getting revived, there is no noise whatsoever. I can be reviving somebody, there's no noise. Somebody can be reviving me, there's no noise. My teammate can be reviving another teammate. I don't get a audio feedback, and it just. I don't know why this drives me so nuts. I thought it was a glitch at first, and maybe it is, but this one thing right here just drives me absolutely nuts. Because things are happening, I'm being revived, an important thing is happening. Like, it's like an assassination target being taken out. That's an important thing, right? It would be nice to have an audio feedback. The guy tells you, hey, the guy's down. But in this case, absolutely nothing is being communicated to you. Your screen doesn't even change. Like the red bar doesn't start moving off the sides of the screen. Like there's nothing. And I don't know, something about this just really triggers me. Like hardcore. And they need just look at what happens in Mass Effect 3.
Team member is hurt.
There's a clear and audible sound. And it's like this being right here tells everybody in the lobby somebody's on the job reviving them. Whereas in Andromeda, the icons only change. And as I said earlier, the icons are already hard to see. So if somebody's being revived, I might not even know about it. And I might still be running over to find them. But like, to me, this is something that must be fixed. If there's anything out of this whole video that must be fixed, it's this audio feedback not being here, because it's a critical piece of information that's not being conveyed to anybody, and it's hardly even being conveyed to the person that's being revived. Alright, so the last thing I want to do is focus on the last 10 seconds of extraction, so watch this. Zerged, our buddy, is over here in the distance, telling him to get over here. He is definitely not acting. Yep, definitely not acting. So we got our... He didn't extract, but we have a mission successful. Fanfare makes us feel, yeah, we just did a good job. We have our classic loading screen, talking about how we can kill Guardians. And we get a notification right up front. Hey, you got this much XP, you got this many credits, and you've got an inner council space plus 7. That doesn't exist in Andromeda. But that is something that is very useful if you're a new player, because you're like, this is exactly what I got. It's up in your face, and you're like, damn right, that's what I earned. Instinctively, you start to skip it as you start playing the game more. But as you can notice, there's also noises of us going around.
Okay, I'm sitting in here, pull out stupid...
So you can hear the countdown timer, and that makes it so much easier in Andromeda to know that you need to get your ass to extraction. Zerg, shut up, you're ruining the video.
Ah! No.
That's how Apex.
Alright, notice there is no music. That's like, good job.
Oh my goodness.
In fact, it's still the same music that's been playing since like the lobby.
Oh man, yeah, just 2 people.
Zerg, you are really
I have
screwing
a
up my video.
shaking from the adrenaline. Infiltrator is OP.
Get out of my video, Zerg. I don't care if you're an infiltrator. Get out of my video.
Oh, okay, that took 30 minutes. Oh shit, as soon as I get into the...
Notice how there's no audio as I move this stuff around? It's kind of a nitpick here because it doesn't really matter. There's no importance to these. But I just found it kind of odd how in Mass Effect 3 there was audio cues, but in this one there wasn't. But, I mean, that's all the problems I have with the audio cues and the UI problem so far in Andromeda. I really hope they fix it, but I know changing a UI is probably going to be an unpopular idea at BioWare. Mainly because changing what's already existing and out in the open is going to kind of upset people that get used to it. But I think that there should be some serious consideration put into at least improving areas that you can. Making the rings change color on the characters when you pick them. Making the check marks more obvious. Making the readiness bar a little bit more obvious that, hey, yeah, there's people waiting on you. You should probably hurry up if you start a lobby by yourself. Stuff like that. It really, the cards should automatically already be flipped. There should be a description. I shouldn't have to push like a million buttons to figure out what I just got. It's quality of life improvements. I mean, I'm not gonna die if they don't get fixed, except for maybe when I'm trying to revive somebody and figure out where they are. But they're, for the love of God, just at least fix the revive noise, because if it's not gonna kill anyone, but it will kill me. So I still think this game has great potential. It's kind of, I worked on Mass Effect 3 for so long that I tore it apart like Humpty Dumpty and put it back together again. And I mean, it's never meet your heroes, man. The game's great, but when you go on the insides, it's not what you thought it was. And don't get me wrong, I love Mass Effect 3. I wouldn't have modded it for 5 years, but I saw what corners got cut, and I was hoping not as many corners. And I haven't looked into Andromeda's code or anything. We won't see that for a long time, I'm sure. But it's kind of like when you have a kid and you want them to do good, and they've been doing good for a while, they've been improving, and then they make a misstep. It's not the end of the world. You don't hate them. It's just you want them to do better, and it's kind of a disappointment. And I mean, I want the UIs to improve, and that's really what this whole video is. I'm just disappointed in the regressions in the UI, and I really hope that they'll be fixed. And I mean, that's all. That's just my opinion. And I really appreciate you guys taking the time to make this game, because I gotta say, while I haven't been hyped for this game because of what I've seen in a while, I was a little concerned. Right before the game came out, I know I got that feeling like back on the old days of BioWare Social Network. Everyone always hates BioWare Social Network, but the one thing about BioWare Social Network was the feeling that I was part of a group of people that were all experiencing the game at the same time. The balance changes were coming out, and we would hate on them, and we would love them, and you still fucking killed my crusade. But it was great being part of a movement, but until these UIs are fixed, I don't know if I'm going to be part of that movement. So we'll see. Anyways, I've been ranting for like 6 minutes past when I was supposed to hit the stop button on Audacity, so I'm just going to cut the video off right here. Have a good time, guys.